Welcome to episode 44 of the Motivational Millennial Podcast. Today we are rocking out, if you couldn't tell, from the beatboxing with Kaila Mullady, who is a super dope beatboxer, theatrical wizard, and all-around sound songstress.
Yeah, she's a beat rhymer.
She's also a beat rhymer.
Yeah,
which
that's
she
cool.
gives us a really cool demo of that at the end of the interview, so be sure to stick around for that. Wanted to give you a brief update on what we are up to at Motivational Millennial. One of the things is we are doing a tour about the growth mindset in K through 12 schools across the country. So this is an interactive assembly where we come in, there's some beatboxing, some freestyle rapping, and really talking with students about the ways that they can use the growth mindset to gain new skills, to learn, to overcome challenges and their inner limiting beliefs about what they're capable of. And in the past few years of us doing that, it has been amazing to watch students break out of their shells, even just in the assembly itself, and students who are super shy getting up in front of their whole school and beatboxing that they've learned in just 90 seconds, and kids getting up and dancing. It's been so much fun, and we're really excited for more of that this year. So if you or anyone you know are interested in bringing a growth mindset assembly to a school near you, please have them get in touch with us. It's just booking, as in beatboxing as the best. Wait, sorry, I messed that up because I'm supposed to say B as in beatboxing is the best.
That's what you did.
Did I say that?
Sometimes. Oh, no, you said booking.
Booking as in beatboxing is the best. Anyway, as you could probably guess, booking with a B as opposed to looking with an L, which kind of sound nothing alike, but we always like to clarify.
And plus, when is it going to be a D, right? That's why you clarify B. Like, when is it going to be dooking?
Dooking. It's only for when you're in combat and you need to be ducking a lot of combat attacks.
Oh gosh. What? I don't think we're going to be very helpful for people. And don't write us at dooking@motivationalmillennial.com.
We do not offer those services.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, I do want to mention that the Growth Mindset Tour is K through 12. So it is elementary, middle, and high school. And some of the concepts that Blake just mentioned may sound pretty abstract, but we have a lot of experience with making the growth mindset concepts accessible to all age groups. Mm-hmm. So even little kids, even, we do K through 5, we do a K through 2 and then a 3 through 5, so we're breaking it up and we're very aware of that. So that's good to know. Exactly. And it's superhero themed too. So, kids really get excited about it and it's entertaining. It's not like a lecture. The little kid one is superhero themed. Yes, the little kid one is, for high school students. We dropped that for high school. And middle school students. It's much cooler. So anyway, feel free to give us a shout if you're into that, and stick around after the conversation with Kaila, where Ivy and I share our biggest takeaways from the interview. And now, without further ado, drop that beat! Onward!
Hello, welcome to the Motivational Millennial Podcast, where we talk with inspiring members of the millennial generation who are living life with a sense of purpose and achieving their dreams. I'm Blake Brandis.
And I'm Ivy LeClaire.
Our Motivational Millennial guest today is Kaila Mullady. Kaila is the 2015 World Beatbox Champion, 2014 America Vice Beatbox Champion, 3-time Loop Station Champion, and 3-time reigning Beat Rhyme Champion. Kaila performs all over New York City and the country, infusing beatboxing, singing, rapping, poetry, and theater to push the boundaries of creativity and show just what the human instrument is capable of. Kaila, welcome to the podcast.
What's up, guys? Super happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh, it makes me so happy. You are the master of noise, sound, and theatricality.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know. You're lying, man. Don't lie to the people.
Oh my gosh. Before we even get into the big questions, I'm just wondering, were you like this as a child?
Oh my God, yeah. Definitely. I was the kind of kid where if you gave me one sip of soda, I'd be doing cartwheels in the house and making up songs about your shoes. it's funny because like I have 2 older brothers, and I played guitar when I started playing guitar around the same time I started beatboxing in like 4th or 5th grade. And I, for hours, would just like, I trained him to be the best parent. Because for like 3 hours, he would be playing like World of Warcraft or Call of Duty or whatever it was back then. And I would just make up songs incessantly behind him, like talking about like pudding or AC/DC. And he would just tune me out. Like, it's really amazing. I think I like made them become superheroes with their hearing because they just don't pick up anything now.
That's so cool. Well, we'd love to hear more about what you're up to at the moment and what you love so much about it.
Oh, I like this. So what I'm up to, man, I am performing constantly. I'm in a group called the Beatbox House, which is a group of world champion beatboxers. And it's really special because we met battling each other in America, and then we kind of realized that we liked making music more, and it was more, we had so much more fun like just jamming with each other outside of the battles. And about 3 years ago, because in New York City it's just insane to get an apartment and you need like 7 roommates to kind of make it happen, we decided to just have a beatbox house. Because anytime there was a beatboxing event and one of our friends who had a apartment with non-beatboxers, we'd always end up in one house, like 15 people, and all the people who weren't beatboxers at one point in the night, whether it be 12 a.m. or 7 a.m., would come out and be like, you guys have to stop. Please stop beatboxing. Like, I can't take it anymore. It's been 6 hours. Please, I need to sleep. And we realized that we're just like better off living together. So now we've all lived together for 3 years. And originally when we were kind of in the scene, America was like laughed at, and the rest of the world would kind of make fun of us because they'd be like, oh, beatboxing, it started in America and Americans are so bad. Oh, you guys cannot do it. So like, we all like showed each other sounds, and now America and kind of the Beatbox House were at the top of our game, and we did it through community and through sharing and through real friendship and family. So last year we went to the Grand Beatbox Battle, and we came in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for an international battle, which is pretty crazy. And 2015, I won the female championship, and one of my teammates, Neil, came in 2nd place for the men. So it's been a really special journey with them. And other than that, just doing theater, kind of mixing things up, seeing how weird I can get with sound effects and performing and pushing the limits and, speaking some truths.
That's so cool. I love how you have combined all of your passion and interest and also created this community, which I think is really hard as an artist often, because it is, obviously there's sort of the financial aspect of being an artist, which is always a challenge, but also there's something often very individual about the creative process. And I'm interested for you, how was that going from being, I know you are still obviously a solo performer, but having your primary mode of creation be individual to that more communal collaborative space?
It's really fun for me because I've been performing for like going on 5 years now, and it's been like a really amazing journey, like coming into the city and kind of asserting myself as an artist. And even something like going to a different city to do a show, if you're by yourself, it's like, cool, I'm in Miami. But then you go back to your hotel and you're like, I am all alone. And then you just order like chicken fingers and French fries and you cry as you watch like weird cable TV by yourself. So it's really special because, especially with the Beatbox House, we're going to all these different countries and new cities, and I get to experience it with my friends and make memories. And like, that's the cool part for me. Like not even necessarily like the shows that we get to do, but it's like, I got to go with my best friends to this place, and we all supported each other to get here and didn't give up on each other, to get here. And I think it's, it's interesting too, because for me, I'm definitely extremely out of the box thinking with things. So it's good to kind of have people who sometimes like reel me in. Like, I'm like, okay, and we're going to come out with like peacock costumes and we're going to fly through the ceilings. And they're like, Kaila, let's just do a good show. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Maybe we'll save it for the next one.
What is the craziest idea you've actually managed to pull off?
The craziest idea? Oh, that we came out in big boxes. Like, I just decided to like come out in boxes and then kind of pop out of them during the show. That was the most that they kind of let me do. But yeah, I'm working on it with them. My boyfriend, who's a beatboxer as well, we have like The Beatbox House kind of breaks up into smaller components as well, because in the American beatbox scene, we have tag team battles. So my boyfriend, his name's Mark Martin, he just won the American Beatbox Championships this year, and we came in second place for a tag team, but he's extremely kooky as well, and he's extremely theatrical. So we like doing very different things. When we went to Switzerland last year, we had a whole like battle thing ready, and we're like, oh yeah, we're going to do so good. And then a week before, we were like, we don't want to do this. We want to do like something theatrical, because it was a showcase battle. So basically you had 5 minutes. Every team had 5 minutes to put on a show, and the top 4 would go into the battle. So a week before, we just were like, let's scrap it. We're not doing it anymore. And we created this whole weird story of essentially a girl falling from just like her pride and stuff, and like landing in this like demon like world. And we literally just like cut and did like this theatrical bit in the middle of it. And definitely like our scene didn't necessarily understand it, especially the beatboxing community is like a lot of young kids too, so they were like, what is this? So people either really liked it or really didn't like it. But we were happy because we did, at the end of the day, we did what we felt like we really wanted to do, and to showcase and just do something different from what everyone else was going to do there.
Well, it's really cool because as you're talking, like there's just so much joy and fun coming from you, and the way that you talk about your life and everything that you're creating. And what I wasn't hearing in that story was like, oh gosh, but we said we were going to do this thing, and like people are expecting that. What are they going to think? You're just like, hey man, let's just do this. It's going to be awesome. I think that's really great.
F it.
Energy.
That's my motto.
Yeah,
do it and then think about it later.
Yeah. So in thinking about it later, what is the biggest dream that you've achieved so far, and in what ways did you have to grow to achieve that dream?
Wow. See, for me, talking about bringing in all my passions together, I realized within myself, I have a triangle personality. So music is one, which I kind of, right now I'm using like the vessel of beatboxing, and also looping with guitar is kind of getting that out of my system. Theater is the other vessel, and then teaching and education is the third. So I've had, I guess, 3 prime moments in all. I think definitely winning the World Championships was a very crazy moment for me. Like I said, I've been beatboxing since I was in like 4th grade. And so when it actually called my name and I hit the stage, I was like, what the heck? Like, what happened? Like, I would never would have thought that this would be like the path I went down. So that was really special. And also, even kind of more past that, in 2014, becoming the vice champion was really special, because America, now it's changing. I think people are kind of following after our lead, but was one of the only countries that didn't segregate men and women battling. So when I went to the World Champs, it kind of sucked for me, because I was like, why? I came in 2nd place for my country in America in 2014, battling against guys, which was a huge accomplishment. And then the next year I had to go and I got put in a separate category. So that for me is kind of one of those backhanded things where I'm like, it's cool that I'm the female champ, but I'm also like, why are you putting women in the box like this? Because it's very psychological. Like, there's nothing about physical strength or, having to like do muscle ups or push ups. It's not a competition like that. It's just about expression and creativity, So I think it's kind of like psychologically abusive when you put a girl into a separate category, because what you're telling him is, don't even try. You're never going to get this sound. You're never going to get this low sound, right? And like when I first started, it took me like 2 years to work on like my throat bass to get it like low, like to really get it the way I wanted it to. It took a while, but if you practice, it'll get there. And it's the same thing with a guy. If a guy wants to bring his range up, nobody is telling him that he can't do a high sound. They're just like, oh yeah, just do it. I'm really happy because even this year in France, it was the first time in 10 years that they didn't segregate it anymore. So from now on, there's going to be men and women competing, which will be really good. For education, it was really creating this beatboxing and speech therapy course with my boyfriend. We work in a school in the Bronx with blind and mentally handicapped students. And my boyfriend went to NYU, and his whole like thesis and like major was how beatboxing was a language. And he just happened to learn a lot about like phonetics and speech therapy. He took like a speech therapy class. And my cousin growing up, he was nonverbal until he was about 5 years old. And I used to babysit all the time. And I was the fun cousin, as I'm sure you can tell. I was doing these weird sounds as well back then. So you should see how these sounds hit with like a 6-year-old. They like crack up. I wish I had the audience rolling like they do. But yeah, I worked with him because he just wouldn't want to work with his speech therapist. He would want to hang out. And even if my cousins were doing homework, he just wanted to be like in the mix. He had serious FOMA. So I had to figure out a way to get him to work with a speech therapist. So then I realized he really liked beatboxing, and I would sit down with him and we would beatbox all the words. And then he started really practicing beatboxing, because obviously, speech therapy isn't that much fun. And I doubt a kid's like, I'm going to go home and I'm going to just forget about video games. I'm going to go home and work on my B sound today. Yeah, all right. Like, that's just not happening. So, he took to beatboxing, and when you're beatboxing, you're practicing your speech therapy. So it was just really weird the way that me and my boyfriend kind of have similar interests. And with my organization, Beat Global, we created a beatboxing and speech therapy curriculum that we're going to put out at the end of this year that will hopefully really help a lot of kids and speech therapists around the world. So that for me was like the huge thing there. And theater, there was this really cool, cool festival in Norway called Speakerbox. And I've been there 2 years now. And it's like boot camp, but really fun, where you have, the first time I had 8 days to create an hour and a half show. And then the second one we had 3 days. And it's just really amazing what you can do working with talented individuals and focusing for like 10 hours a day, 3 days in a row. And we created such a special show there that I'll never forget.
Wow, those are 3 amazing areas of influence and impact, and there's so much to unpack from each one. Starting, I guess, with the music side, do you feel like the gender issues have been present for you in other areas aside from just the competition as you've grown up in the sort of hip-hop community?
Definitely. I think it's just one of those things, not even battling, and I noticed it a lot in battling, but I see it when I play guitar, I see it when I do other instruments. I noticed that, if a guy's jamming on a beat that's just like really simple, like, or if that's on the drums or if it's on the guitar, you're just playing chords, people assume right away, like, oh, he's just playing a simple beat. He's just chilling. But when I do that in any of my fields, it's like, oh, that's all she knows. She can only do those sounds. She can only play those chords. That's the only thing. So it's this thing of, I get on stage, and when people would hear that I was beatboxing, I felt very much the audience like waiting for this car crash to happen. Like, oh, this girl's going to mess up. When is it going to happen? Oh, let's whip out the phones. So I definitely do feel that. But I think I had really good training with my 2 older brothers. They definitely like toughened me up to not really care about that and make me kind of a bit of a spitfire. Like, oh yeah, watch me. I'm just going to beat all of you. But, it's very interesting that I feel that energy with people that, oh, if this is what you're doing, that's all you can do as a woman, as opposed to there's more to her, but she's just not showing it.
I don't know. One way that you could look at it that I just popped in my head is you just being like this huge surprise for everyone then. Like, you get to bring the element of surprise all the time whenever you're working.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of thought about like the World Champs too. I was like, their naivety, or them being naive, is helping me in my career. Like, oh, you wanted to put me in a separate category. Okay, well, I won it. So now it's a better title for me, so it's kind of like, a little bit of an FU, but them being like chauvinistic or misogynist is helping me. So it kind of works out in the end.
Well, I'm glad there's that sense of accomplishment and victory off of it. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And which of your accomplishments would you say has surprised you the most so far? Just in terms of thinking about, like, when you kind of look back and like, whoa, I wouldn't have not necessarily expected that you would have achieved that, but yeah, like, which one has surprised you the most?
I think just my career as a whole and being self-sustainable as an artist. I've always been like the class clown, and I've always been very impulsive. And I dropped out of college basically like right when I started it. I went to one class of my community college. I was a history class, and I answered all the questions in class, and I just like looked around and I was like, I am not supposed to be here. And I left. And then my parents were not happy with that, which I totally get. I was not being honest with them, and I was telling them I was going to classes when I wasn't. So then they were like, all right, one more shot. Let's take you to a school closer to the city. I had one of my friends there, and I ended up doing the same thing. I was there for like maybe a month, and I only went to my philosophy and acting classes and my history classes. And my family, they were definitely like disappointed. And I don't think that they thought that I knew it. Because also, imagine your kid telling you like, okay, you're not going to go to school. What are you going to do? I'm going to be an artist. yeah, which is like the most unstable thing. And then like, okay, what kind of art? I'm going to beatbox. And they're like, bebop? What is a bebop? What are you doing? You're fighting people? Like, so I think just like, even where I am now, it just proves to me, like, if you follow your gut and you follow your heart, and if anybody out there is listening and has a dream that they're just like, I'm not supposed to be an accountant, I know I want to do ballet, or like, I want to be a garbage man, or like, I want to knit things for like kittens, like whatever it is, your gut will tell you what to do. And if you put your energy into it and you really put all your, you know, your heart and soul into it, you're going to be successful at it. So I think just as a whole, you know, the city is one of those places where it's so fast and you get so caught up in it. But every time I leave for a trip, I look back and I'm like, wow, I am accomplishing things. I made the right choice to really follow my heart. And I think that's the most special accomplishment of all of them.
I really appreciate that sentiment a lot. And also the imagery of knitting things for kittens. I appreciate that
do
as well.
it.
So would
Talking to you, girl. I read your diary.
Oh yeah, you know. Oh man, you got me. So would you share a story of the biggest challenge you've faced so far and what it was like for you to overcome that challenge?
So just recently, I kind of got out of this hurdle, which was a lot of like self-doubt and judgment. And so my style as a beatboxer is already very avant-garde, and I don't play by the rules that the other beatboxers do. In a battle, everyone will be going fast, and I do kind of that jazz thing. It's not the notes you play, it's a note you don't play. Go by silence and kind of do theatrical, more storytelling pieces. And once I won the World Championships, there was definitely more eyes on me. And then when I became a world champion and I went back to America competing with the guys, I just kind of got this like hate storm thrown at me. And it's a very young community, and that's why they like to hear sounds that are just like fast and really bass heavy and really powerful, and that's not my style. And especially if you don't see it live, you know, it's a different sort of thing to watch. So I was getting a lot of hate, and I've just never had that my whole life. I've definitely been someone who's like very friendly with people, got along with people easily. And at first it didn't affect me, but then it started to affect me. And I started to get this mentality that's like, you want me to see me do something fast? Fine, I'll do it. Like, oh, you want me to do this? Watch me do this. Like, I'll show you that I could do it. But in doing that, I started to lose myself creatively because I wasn't doing things that was actually like hitting my soul and was like what I wanted to produce. I was doing things out of the ego and being like, I'm going to prove to you that I can do this thing that you think I can't do. And I went to Switzerland last year and I did a battle, and I did the thing with Mark, which was great, but then I had a solo elimination and it wasn't bad at all. But normally when I perform, I feel like very out of body. I'll do something and then come back in and be like, what did I just do? I was not here. I checked out for a little bit, but I was very much in my body the whole time. And it was just a very unpleasant feeling. And that kind of snapped me out of it. Because then I realized after that, I was like, why? I just did stuff like that wasn't my show. I was doing like not a Kaila Mullady show. And that realization kind of got me on a deeper level, trying to find myself again and bring myself back. And definitely in like, I would say like 4 months ago, it really solidified that I felt good. But it took me like a year to really not care and not let whatever anyone else says affect me. And honestly, that was like the best gift that I could have gotten. Like going through that, it sucked at the time, but now I know that I'm like solid. I kind of got rocked. My boat got rocked a little bit, but now whatever storm comes, like I'm sailing through this clear-headed, clear water, sunshine behind me the whole way.
That's a powerful place to be in. I'm curious, what's that shift like about 4 months ago? It sounds like you really have, stepped into your power in that sense.
Yeah, what does it feel like?
Yeah, I'm just curious if there was something that changed for you. Like, when did you know, okay, now I've got this, I'm not worrying about other people's opinions?
So definitely the battle in Switzerland was the first thing that clicked, like, oh, I have been doing this. That's why I felt that way. But then it kind of, when you got some weight on your shoulders, you got the devil on your back, you got to kind of shake it off. So it took me a few months. But then this past year, we had another battle. And again, there was, like I saw some comments and some negativity, but I genuinely just like didn't care. Like I had all these things coming up, and when I like read it, I was like, oh man, like I felt bad that people would have to not understand artistry in that way. Or, I just looked at my life and I was like, wow, I can't believe I even let this affect me at all. Like there was no feeling of instability. It didn't do anything to me, so that's when I was like, okay, I'm good. Because the criticism came at me and it didn't do anything to me. I was unwavered. And if anything, I felt like stronger than ever, that I was just like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. Like, I'm going to still do my thing, you know?
I love it. Kaila, what advice would you give to other millennials who are on this journey towards fulfillment and success?
My advice to millennials would be follow your heart. You know, at the end of the day, if you're happy doing what you want to do, that's going to be the most important thing. Because it doesn't matter if you have money or you have fame or all these trivial things. If you're not happy and it's not something that makes you genuinely excited and makes your eyes light up, don't do it. The second would be really think of yourself as a business. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you know, understand business and practice your butt off. Practice whenever you can. Try to hone your craft so that you're ready. My favorite quote is, you don't practice until you do something right. You practice until you can never get it wrong. And I try to live by that more now as I go into creating and performing and just honing my skills in.
What's been the most challenging thing that you've had to practice until you couldn't get it wrong?
Ooh, I would say practicing for the World Champs was really hard because I was teaching a lot and performing a bunch. I had to, just to make sure I had enough money to go over there, I was doing a tour for like 2 months right after that trip. So I had to work constantly to make sure that I was good going over. That was a really good life lesson in making sure that you don't overbook yourself, don't spread yourself out too thin, and kind of have your priorities in order. But that was definitely one of the most challenging, just times to practice. Now my new thing is I'm really trying to get new time signatures. So just doing things in like 5 and 12. And I'm really bad at math. And even though it's not necessarily mathematical, I have this like thing in my head that I'm like, I hate math. Why am I counting to 5? But I've been working with a really dope tap dancer named Jimmy Taps. And like, he has the craziest rhythm. So I literally have to, for 2 hours, just be like just trying to get it. And it's very frustrating, but it's great when I learn it.
Wow. What was that? Was that in 5/4 or 12 or something?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. It could have been. I still am not good yet. I'm working on it. I'm still a work in progress here.
Oh, that's so good. Well, I'm infinitely impressed as someone who has worked to master the inward snare for a number of years. Just when you're taking it to the, the next dimension like you are, it's so impressive.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Just a lot of fart noises, a lot of time on my hands.
Well, as you say, it's a big hit with the kids.
Yeah. I heard the kids like it, so I'm going to keep doing it, right?
That's right. I know. I do a little sketch in my motivational speaking about teaching my grandma how to beatbox. And it is by far the best. Like, it kills the best. I've got a story about being on America's Got Talent, like, all this stuff, all the growth mindset, and inevitably it's teaching my grandma how to beatbox. It's like their favorite thing.
I love that you just said growth mindset. I'm a true believer in that.
Yeah.
Anytime I teach kids or teachers, that's always in my repertoire.
So what is your take on the growth mindset for listeners?
For me, it's 1,000% facts. And especially when working with kids, you have to be really careful in the language in which you're talking to people, kids, really, because, you want to compliment them and be like, you're the best. You're a natural beatboxer. Oh, my God. Like, you are ultimate. You're born this way. You came out beatboxing. And you're trying to, your intention is good because you're really just trying to like motivate them. But that is really bad for them. So the whole thing with growth mindset and fixed mindset is people either have the thought in their head that if I work hard, I will achieve something, or that basically your intelligence is just static. You're born with your intelligence and it's not going to go up or down. So, telling a kid that they're great natural beatboxer, they're going to work hard in that. But then if they go to math, the way I kind of been, and they don't do so well or don't get such good test scores, they're basically going to be like, I shouldn't even bother doing this. I am not a person who can do math. I'm a beatboxer. And they'll just continue to not work hard at it. But if you instill this growth mindset in them, you're basically going to give them a passion for learning, which will just carry with them their whole life. And also just instill in them that hard work is the payoff, not that you're just born with this payoff. So it's very important whenever I work with children or teach other trainers. That's like my number one speech that I give.
That's awesome. I love that you were able to share that in such like a concise, clear way for everyone just then. So would you share a book or a quote that changed your life in some way?
Honestly, like Josh Waitzkin's The Art of Learning was really, really powerful for me. It's basically the whole thing of growth mindset versus fixed mindset. He was essentially like this chess prodigy as a kid. and then went on to win, when he got older, be the world champion in push hands, which is like Tai Chi, which is very inspiring. And also Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire is absolutely incredible. If you're like a teacher at all, or just really anybody, read the book. He's an amazing educator from Brazil who basically, in a country at the time that was extremely oppressed and more than half of the country was illiterate, he taught people how to read and basically inspired them to kind of rise up and take the power back on their own. They weren't told that they should do it. Through reading and just realizing that they have a voice, they changed their whole country. And I think it's a very inspiring story, and it's something that I try to live by daily.
That's a great reminder. We actually used that for a professional development course we taught on culturally relevant pedagogy and working with hip hop, especially, and kids in the classroom. So it's great to hear that in its historical context, especially given current political events.
Exactly, yeah.
Kaila, as we're wrapping up here, would you mind giving us a little demonstration of some beat rhyming? And specifically, I'm thinking of your recent original composition, Dopamine, which I saw online and thought, that is phenomenal. And if we have Kaila on the show, I'd love to ask her to just give us a little taste of that. Would you be able to perform a little bit of that for us now?
Absolutely. So just a little context. Beat rhyming is when you add words or poetry or rapping or singing while you beatbox. And I had a mentor, Kid Lucky, who taught it to me. And then I kind of tried to take it to the next level to essentially make the technique, every drum sound and words are together. So we talk about speech therapy and beatboxing. Instead of just saying baseball, you go baseball, taco, Tuesday, right? So it's all the same. But with that said, I will be more than happy to drop this for you guys. So it goes a little something like this. Hit it, baby. Got me so pipe like. Got me so pipe like. Dopamine, baby. Got me floating so high like dopamine. Can't you see? You are like a midnight sky, my dream. Only you brought them sweet melodies. Come and play with me. Let's see what the sky turns green to you. Me, but all up a think, maybe find up a think, maybe find up a think. With my head on the ground, put my feet in the sky. My oh my God, you me, but all up a think, maybe find up a think, maybe find up a think. With my head on the ground, put my feet in the sky. My oh my.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Thank you.
Wow.
Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha.
That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kaila.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. You guys are awesome.
Oh, thank you. As we are peacing out here, would you mind sharing with our audience where they can find out more about you and your work?
Yeah, so you can check me out online, Kaila Mullady, Kaila Mullady, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I always have constantly new videos coming out. And if you want to check out my crew, you can find us at thebeatboxhouse.com or Beatbox House YouTube. We always have shows in the city. So if there's anybody out there in New York City, come over to the house, come jam, come chill.
Well, next time I'm in New York, I can't wait to catch up with a live show with you guys and watch you rock it.
Yeah, please, man. I would love that.
The Motivational Millennial Podcast is supported by Motivational Millennial Coaching Services. We help you find clarity and confidence so you can take action toward living your dream life. To learn more about one-on-one personalized support from someone who believes you have a path to fulfillment and wants to help you uncover it, visit motivationalmillennial.com/coaching. Yo, welcome to the after show for a conversation with Kaila Mullady. I can't do it as well as she does, but that's
well,
all
you
right.
can do it a lot better than me.
Oh.
Doodly-doo-doo.
See, there you go. Growth mindset. warm-up practice. I know, it makes me just want to beatbox all the time. Yeah, that was a really groovy conversation.
It was really cool.
Certainly our highest sound effect to talking ratio of any episode so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I felt like I was in New York with her.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was kind of neat, actually. So hopefully you all enjoyed that experience too.
Yeah, being on the street with the beats. So I was so impressed and really wanted to reflect on what she said about the challenges that came from being a woman in the beatboxing scene, and specifically, really that she proved the growth mindset, because when they initially separated out beatboxers by gender, they were saying there are some things women just can't do. And I love that she said, no, with practice and the belief that it's possible, I can learn the throat bass. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was just such a good reminder that there are often external structures. Some of them are explicit, some of them are subtle, that are saying, you can do this, you can't do that. And you think about, especially women in science and math historically, there's been a lot of that subtle pressure that says, oh, women shouldn't be in STEM fields. But obviously, the more women who are in STEM, the more teachers who are women in the STEM subjects, the more women who go into them, the more that's totally proven to be false. And the thing is, if people hadn't believed it from the beginning, then we wouldn't be where we are today. And so I think the growth mindset, part of it is this knowledge that you keep working at something, you can improve, your brain does grow, but also you've got to have that vision that it's possible in the first place, even if you don't see as many external validators of that at the beginning.
Well, I think this is so interesting, actually, because, it really intertwines with what I was going to talk about. Because what I thought was really interesting was when she was talking about how she went through this period of time where she was, proving to everyone in this, male-dominated community and field that she could do all of that too, right? She was saying her style is a little bit unique, and that because she kind of has this smoother, chiller style sometimes, that people are assuming because she's a woman that she doesn't know how to do all of the other more complex, quote unquote, types of, I don't know, the jargon better than I do about the different styles. But, essentially she was like, I'm going to prove to you that I can do this. And so she started doing that so much that eventually she ended up losing her own voice and her own creativity. And I thought it was so interesting because you're kind of talking about the value of recognizing when people are telling you can't do something and the importance of moving forward anyway, saying, okay, actually I can, I'm going to continue, I'm going to move forward. But then also I'm talking about the importance of not moving forward in something just because people are saying that you can't do it. Mm-hmm. Only if you really want to be doing that. Only if it's really true in your heart. There's a balance, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. It's kind of this counterpoint, because it's there has to be a balance and an understanding and knowing of yourself, because you want to move forward in a direction that's actually really resonant with what you want, and not just to prove other people wrong. But you also don't want to get bogged down by other people's expectations of you so that you end up playing small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where I think that vision comes in, because you have to know why you want to do the thing you want to do. Because growth mindset, to your point, just to prove somebody else wrong can be good fuel if that fuel is pushing you in the direction you actually want to go for yourself. Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Yeah, versus that's the direction you're creating just because you want to prove other people wrong, that eventually that's not enough clarity. You might be moving forward to, I want to show people that I can do this thing, but then in reality, you're making decisions based on other people's opinions and desires for you. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not, I'm going to do this because you told me I should. It's, I'm going to do this because I was told that I couldn't. Either way, you're still making decisions based on what other people want from you. And it actually reminds me of one of the things that I'm working on right now with myself, because I actually spent a lot of time, most of my personal development so far. I mean, I just turned 30 recently, and like pretty much all of my 20s was about looking around at what I didn't want in my life, what I didn't want to create, who I didn't want to be. And I really focused a lot on family members, parental units, like people in my life that I just was like, I want to be more focused than that. I want to have, you know, a healthier outlook on life and healthier practices. Like, I don't want to be that. So like I focused so hard on that. And then it's like, now I'm at this place where I'm safely not that. Like, my mental health is great. Like, I don't have a lot of anxiety and depression anymore. I'm like doing really well. So now I'm like, oh gosh, I was so fueled by other people's expectations of me or other people's opinions of me or everything, that now it's like, what do I really want now? And I'm like searching to find kind of that perspective. What is it that I want to create? Not just say, I'm not gonna, I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there is a balance, too, between there's a certain baseline credibility that has to be established if you're doing anything, where it does require avoiding or proving something to people sometimes. And I think your point is well taken, that just reminding yourself that it's in the service of that versus getting in sort of a vengeance mindset or total opposition mindset. And it's interesting, I actually wrote about this for my PhD thesis, in the sense that a lot of underground rap music is very oppositional to commercial rap. So it's like, we're not gangster, we're not all about the money. And one of the things I was looking at in my chapter was, well, what are you for? What do you care about? And if you look at groups and people that attract a following or create a movement, sometimes you can rally in opposition, but things that really last, they draw people in because they say, we are for this vision of the future that's compelling, or we really care about this specific interest or this activity or this style of, you know, music or clothes or whatever. And if you think about why hipsters are a joke and not a movement, it's because you have hipsters by definition oppositional. It's like, oh, we're too cool for this, or oh, I was already into it before it was big. And people don't rally around being a hipster. Like, no hipsters are raising their hand and be like, hey, I'm a hipster. But plenty of people raise their hand and say, oh my gosh, I love the Grateful Dead, or even a hippie by comparison. Like we're for like free love and peace and everything. So I think, you know, comparing a hipster to a hippie is maybe an interesting comparison.
Well, you know what it just made me think of, though, is that oftentimes I think either with just one human or groups of humans, it's like, it's good to go through those stages, though. I think that at first we have to recognize, what is it that we're uncomfortable with? What social injustices are we have to identify, this is not okay. This is not what we deserve as people. This is not what my community members deserve, or members of other communities deserve. And we have to look at, you know, from the individual level, I don't want to have this habit anymore. This is not the kind of life that I want to create. Like, I feel like there is some kind of stirring that gets the fuel going. It's like starting with,
Jim Rohn would call it a never again moment.
Yeah. It's something where you've like had it and you're like, I need change. And so you've got to identify, what is it that you don't want, and start there. And then, to your point, if you only focus on the negative, but you don't give people, like, eventually shift into, what's the dialogue we do want? What do we also want to create? Like, this is not okay. Here's what we want to create. Or, this is not who I want to be. This is who I want to be. I think it's a process. And I hadn't really thought about it in that way until you were talking about it just now. But.
Yeah, and Kaila, again, is a great example of that, because she came through that whole proving herself stage, and like she said, she rediscovered and reestablished her artistry.
Yes.
And so she said, here's now who I am. I love the theatricality. I love the performance. I love having sound effects that are unusual and telling a story through sound.
And to your point, that is powerful for other female beatboxers than her just proving that she could do what, the boys can do or whatever, like that is because it's more compelling. You're like, oh my gosh, this is a vision of someone I want to be, rather than focusing on the fact, I don't know how to finish that sentence, actually. I just was putting words in there. My brain was getting ahead, but you're nodding, so I get that you know what I'm saying. I hope the audience is also nodding to themselves.
Maybe they're nodding their heads to the rhythm of the beat. The beat, the beat, the beat, the beat, the beat, the beat, the beat. That's mine. The beat. All right, I feel like that's a good place for us to wrap it up. Oh, that was fun. A little jam session. All right, thanks to Kaila for rocking with us today. Thanks to you, our lovely, wonderful Motivational Millennial podcast listeners. Thank you, Ivy.
Thanks, Blake.
Virtual fist bump.
Yeah. Blow it up.
And then it reconstituted itself.
It did. It was the Big Bang.
It was, exactly. Collapsed them back on. Anyway. All right. Peace and love, friends. We will catch you next week on the Motivational Millennial Podcast.
We have a gift for you. If you go online to motivationalmillennial.com/free gift, you can receive a personal transformation guide called Motivating Your Millennial Mind. It includes an outline of some of the limiting mindsets that we commonly have as millennials, as well as 8 motivational tools to help you overcome those mindsets. So again, check that out at motivationalmillennial.com/free gift. That's millennial, IMILLENNIAL.
For show notes and upcoming guests, or to learn more about Coactive Coaching, the blog, and our other awesome offerings, visit motivationalmillennial.com. Keep in touch with us at facebook.com/motivationalmillennial.
We'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email with your thoughts, comments, and suggestions at podcast@motivationalmillennial.com. And tell us who you might like to hear from, or if you think you or anyone you know would be good for the show.
The Motivational Millennial Podcast is edited by Christy Hostler and Team Podcast.
Our theme music was composed and performed by Blake Brandis.
Have a great week, Motivational Millennials!